All right. Well, I would like to officially welcome you, Carol Zilli, to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's great to have you.
Oh, thank you, Shane. I love being here.
Excellent. Well, there's so much for us to talk about. I'd love to, before we get into how you've changed my life and so many other people's lives by bringing music, let's talk a little bit about what you've got going on right now. You are the executive director of Music for Minors 2, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about Music for Minors 2.
Okay, great. I started Music for Minors too, if you can believe it, in 1988
Wow.
in Fremont in one elementary school because my children weren't having music in their classes. But what started me off was I would go in and play piano, and then this little girl, I would sing with the children. She taught me a song, Hi, My Name is Joe. And I asked her where she learned it, and she said, from my friend in Los Altos. This told me, and little by little, I got in touch with Music for Minors 1. There is a 1.
Uh-huh.
And that was started probably 10 years before I started the Fremont one. And so I went and begged them to take their training, cross the Dumbarton Bridge, because I was out of their geographical area. They're on the peninsula. Today they serve San Mateo, Redwood City, Sunnyvale, I think, still. So anyway, it was everything that I ever dreamed of. It was so wonderful, that training. And so the executive director said, well, why don't you start it in the East Bay? I said, oh, okay. Never thought about that. And I did through Ohlone College. It was a class that I taught at Ohlone College. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit that recruits, trains, and supports community volunteers. Most of them are parents, but we have professional musicians, we have retired teachers, we have seniors, we have college students, but mostly parents of the children that we serve. So as you know, Shane, you took the class. We train every fall, and it's going to start up again in mid-September. And individuals can't even believe it, some of them, that they can do this because we help them discover their musical skills, because everybody's got some. And we sing, we dance, we play instruments, we do music listening appreciation. So the children are exposed to a wide variety of music. So that nonprofit, then I started to talk to teachers, definitely teachers, but parents, started getting a small group started. So we gradually went from 1 school to 3 to 5, and now we're serving 13 schools in Fremont Unified, 2 in Newark Unified. But we used to be in Castro Valley Unified School District for many years. In fact, I taught the training through the Castro Valley Adult School. Well, I'm hoping this is what happened. I believe we really raised the level of awareness of how essential music is in children's classrooms.
I've been trying to figure out how to put this in words, but I would say that if anyone has ever been affected by the Castro Valley School of Music, it directly goes back to Carol Zilli. I mean, it is the reason that I started this school is because of the experience I had as a Music for Minors 2 docent. The training was eye-opening, to say the least. It was kind of like, I don't know if I ever told you the story about how I discovered my life's purpose, but it was, I've been a musician for a long time, never really did anything with it professionally, but I've just always had it as a hobby. And, we've had pianos. My ex-wife bought me a piano for my birthday, 25 years ago or something like that, more than that probably. But so we had this piano at home, and when I started having kids, I started teaching them what I knew on piano. It was, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, and Mary Had a Little Lamb, and stuff like that. And we had a gathering of my family came over, my mom and my sister and her kids, and they were all over at my house. And I looked over and I saw my daughter Madison teaching her cousin Emily something that I taught her on piano. No prompting from me whatsoever. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, that's why I'm here, to make that happen over and over and over again. I put an ad out for music teachers on Craigslist, and much different than today, I got a room full of teachers, like no problem, and we all sat together and discussed what we could possibly do. And I remember letting them know, this is an experiment. We're going to try an experiment. We're going to see how this goes. And here we are, 12 years later, 6 different locations later. COVID was, almost a business killer for sure, but thankfully we survived that. And it is still something I directly would track back to my experience with Music for Minors too, and the training with you, and the exuberance and energy that you bring to that training session, and the fact that you're open to ideas, and that we would, discuss different possibilities, and that sort of environment made it very easy for me to just keep going down that path. So, and I know I'm not alone. I know there's a lot of other people that have been inspired by, working with you and Music for Minors too. I see Rose walking around the neighborhood every once in a while. She and I live near each other, and she's walking. I go out there and walk my dog, and we say hey to each other. And anyway, she's, was a great influence early on.
Yeah.
Anyway, that has taken us to where we are now, and I know that you have, one of the stories that I remember hearing as a trainee of Music for Minors too was people would come up, Rose would come up to me and say, it's amazing how when kids grow older, they remember you. And they'll come back to you, might be in the mall, and some teenager comes up to you and you don't know who they are, and they're like, Mr. Sharkey, I remember I had music with you in 5th grade or 4th grade, and that was awesome. Thank you so much for teaching me. Like, does that still happen to you?
Yes. Oh my gosh, Shane. It does. And, they look at you like, Mrs. Zilli? Of course, I haven't aged at all.
Sure.
But I think of two things. One high schooler, she, and I think it was at a Fremont Festival, Art Festival or whatever, we always have booths, because we do continue to do community booths so people see us and, get to know who we are. And she came up and she said, Mrs. Zilli, I have to tell you something. In my social studies class, or history class, I guess it was, the teacher said, who knows the preamble to the United States Constitution? Nobody was raising their hand, she said, so I just kind of raised my hand and said it. And he looked at her and he said, how did you know that? Well, in elementary school, in my Music for Minors 2 class, we did rhythm with that, and we practiced it, and I don't know if it was quite a rap, it could have been, but she said, I never forgot it.
Wow.
So it's true. Once you experience music, it's there. Maybe you have to pull it out a little harder sometimes when you get older, but that one always struck me. And I have to tell you two stories, Shane, because these two, I think, will always be with me. And I think it just makes the program, first of all, to know about it. Because, when we go into the classrooms, the impact, sometimes you see it on the face of a child, but you don't know what's going on inside. Mm-hmm. And you may never know, but all you know is you've got to plant the seed, and you've got to share the gift and let it be there, and then something will happen, because that's what music does. My favorite thing to say is music feeds the brain while it touches the heart. And that always happens, and nothing else can do that. And so, we do the fist demonstration of how the two hemispheres, it integrates the brain, it builds the neuron bridges. But beyond that, yes, it'll help them learn. It's a powerful learning tool. But if it's touching the heart, that is everything, because that's what transforms people. And like yourself, and even me, I love music so much. Even as a child, I think it was I'll get back to the subject, my aunt who played piano. Oh my gosh, that woman, not a sheet music in front of her. And she did a lot of honky-tonk stuff. And I'd sit there and I'd watch her. And I think I've thought about her lately, and my goodness, she's been gone quite a while now. But I bet that was the inspiration right there. My dad loved music, but I think he could play one song on the piano, but he loves it. And it's too bad. He could have had lessons maybe, who knows, it was a long time ago. But anyway, so this one, there was an autistic child who was at Snow School in Newark, California. The docent was a former kindergarten teacher, and she was excellent. Docent, of course, being those that are trained, and we call them, they get the name of docent, and they go into the classroom as a volunteer. During the school day, which I think is important because of the curriculum connection. So she was doing Tas and TTs, the Kodai method of teaching rhythm, and then she used a poem to tie that in, and she was writing on the board the symbols for the Tas and the TTs, which is the line and then the connecting of two lines. And this little autistic child was mainstream. I think for the first time, because normally his class size was like 5 to 7 children. So here he's coming into 24 children in an elementary school kindergarten class. Well, he went back to his special day class. I don't know if it was immediate. I don't recall what she said on that. But his special day teacher saw him go to the board, and he started to write the symbols for the tas and titis, clapping the rhythm, and I think trying to say some of the poem. But my gosh, what it showed that teacher is that child can learn in a larger classroom setting, retain it, and come back and produce it. They decided to mainstream him in another subject area, in another class. So that changed his whole course of study. That one I will never forget. And the second one was a little girl from Ethiopia, and she hadn't been in the United States very long. And it was a docent in Milpitas, because we have served Milpitas schools with our program. And so she was doing the dance Pata Pata, which is a fun line dance. And this little girl, she noticed, started to cry. It's a second grade class, I think. And the teacher went over and was comforting her, and the docent had to continue, but she definitely wanted to find out later what happened. Was she sick or something? So the class was over, and she went over and talked with the teacher. I think the little girl had left. And she said, "Oh, was it something I said, or is she sick or something?" "Oh, no, Mrs. Zillie," she said. As you were doing that, she started to cry because she is from Ethiopia, had only been in the United States, I don't know if it was a couple of months or a month, and they used to dance that dance in her homeland every Saturday night, and she never thought she would be able to do that again. And that one I will never forget as well. And who knows how many others. There's nothing like singing with children. First of all, children on their own. I so love being around them because there's more of a purity there. There's a innocence. There's a wonder. I think it's the wonder and a playfulness. And that's what I think our program, through music, it gives the adult the opportunity to recapture the child in them. Because even though we look different as we age, there's still a child in there.
Yep.
And I often think about that, I want to find out more about my childhood. First of all, joy, positivism. When you're experiencing music, you're not thinking negatively. You are happy.
Right.
And especially good song lyrics. So our curriculum, I love it because there's so much that we have that docents can pull from, but it's the message, the song, the melody, the rhythm, the fun we have dancing to it or playing the drums. But the lyrics are what really is going to penetrate. So we teach values through our music. Kids are learning about respect and honesty and responsibility, especially Red Grammer's music, where he's got a whole CD on it, and it's called Bebop Your Best. Every character trait, every value is done through a song. They're going to remember that, Try, 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 and try again. Don't cry. You can try again. I mean, just think about that lyric. And so I think, Shane, I know I've seen you. You are a gift to those children. I did a presentation last night at the Fremont Council PTA, and I asked Vera, our program manager, Vera, pull up all those teacher feedback comments. And she went back to 2015 and pulled the best, pulled the ones that really grabbed you, And I know you're in there. I know 'cause you were an outstanding docent. You still are an outstanding docent. And because you donated your time for that, and you helped Music for Minors too in many ways through your Castro Valley School of Music. But you have persevered, Shane, and there is a song about perseverance. I don't know if I taught that one to you, but that's the name of that's you, Shane. You have a passion, you had a goal. No matter what the challenges were, you stayed with it. And here I am sitting in the most beautiful facility you have had over all these years. You deserve it. You earned it. You value it, you value people. I love working with the children, but it's the training that I don't love it more. But when I see an adult come in to the training, they're not sure. Oh, I can't sing, Carol.
Right.
I just can't. Wait a minute. Every human being has the potential to sing. Now, have you ever sung? You know, some say, oh, no, you know, and people would tell me to not just move my lips. I said, what a terrible thing to say to somebody. But it's happened, you know, so much. And I said, wait, this is day one. Is there any competition in this class? Do you have to be me? No. Do you have to be this person over here? No. We're going to try to find out who you are, where your skills are, and what we can develop that maybe you need a little help with, and then what we can be so joyful about, because you could do this. And those that make that change, and on the last day when they're doing their final presentations on their own, 7 minutes teaching us something, I think I love that so much, because you've helped a human being. And that's what life is all about. Not the money, not the honor and the power, Who did you help?
Right.
And there's a need, and you try to fill it. And that's you, Shane.
Well, it's funny because I would not have been able to, I don't think, stand up in front of people and speak in a public situation had I not gone through the Music for Minors 2 training. I still remember very distinctly my first class I taught on my own at Stanton Elementary. I had long hair at the time, and I think I had sort of a hair tie or something in my hair, and this little girl skipped in with the beautiful, innocent lightness about her, and she skipped in and she said, "You look like a girl." And she, and I thought, oh no, here we go. It's going to be out of the mouths of babes. Like, what is this going to be like? I was so nervous. And it's funny how, like, it was almost more nerve-wracking to be in front of kids than adults in a way, but it was through that experience that I was able to say, you know what, I'm going to do my very best. And I'm not going to place my fear in what other people's interpretations of my delivery might be. I mean, I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to be honest and open and vulnerable at times. And it's through that experience, doing it over and over and over and over, that I was able to find my confidence, find my voice in not just singing, but in public speaking. I do have one little story I would like to share with you that happened last year that I thought was kind of, it puts it into perspective for me, not just the docent part of my life, but just everyday living in general. I was teaching a class, and it was right before the class started, and this little girl came up to me and she handed me a note, wasn't just a note, it was like she had made her own envelope and like decorated and everything, and it was nice, it was impressive. And she handed it to me right at the beginning of class, and I put it in my briefcase. I said, "Thank you so much." I didn't want to open it right there in front of everybody, and I put it in my briefcase and conducted the class, went on to do a couple more classes, and I forgot about the note. And it was 2 weeks later, I remember I was having a rough day, and I was cleaning out my briefcase, and I found this note. I was just all at home by myself, and I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it because it was so powerful. Her note just said, "Thank you, Mr. Sharkey, for teaching us music." And it had some, nice drawings and stuff in there. And I thought, oh, it shifted my perspective on having a bad day. And I thought how incredibly powerful that note was. And I remember going back to the class and saying, I got this note, and I want to share with you guys how important that was for me, because it's easy for us to forget how special we are. And this little girl reminded me of how special I am. And I thought, that little note came from my coming into these classrooms and sharing myself and sharing music with these kids. And the fact that she took the time to write that and then share it with me, and the fact that I put it away and it came at a very opportune moment, that was just like, that's how it was meant to unfold that way. And it reminds me how important our communication with other people is. So it's easy to forget how special we are. And this is what I shared with the kids. So help your parents remind them how special they are. Help your teachers remember how special they are. Your classmates. It doesn't take much. Just a small comment about thank you for being so special in my life. And I thought, okay, wow, that's what this is all about, is helping us remember. It's easy to forget how incredible we are as people, and it takes sometimes a little bit of recall from someone else. We all need music in our life on some level.
Yes, Yes.
And I try to figure out why. I've never met a person in my life that does not like some type of music. And like everybody likes music, some form or another. Maybe it's death metal, or maybe it's classical
Yeah.
music. But
Yeah.
it's like everybody relates to some genre or style of music. And I'm playing with the idea of why is that? Why isn't there? Are there people who just don't like music? And if there are, I have not met them. And I play with this sort of esoteric idea of like, well, we are all a collection of vibrations. Like inside of us, there's something vibrating
Voice.
within us. Yeah. One of the things I teach the kids is everything that you hear is something vibrating. Whether it's your voice, whether it's a drum, whether it's a horn, whether it's a train traveling 2 miles away or whatever.
Sound.
Some type of vibration is happening, and I think that's why we all relate, is because we are just a collection of vibrations ourselves. So it's like that fundamental element of being on this planet is like.
Well, the creation of the world, I mean, different people have different views on that and whatever, but there are birds out there.
Right.
And there are lions out there, I often think, gee, I would be, maybe one day we'll all know this. The first human being that opened their mouth and made a sound come out, it had to have been impacted by the birds. They had to have been hearing in nature sounds.
Right.
And then, or did they groan, or what did they do, and then, how the first song was sung ever.
Right.
That fascinates me so much to think about that, And, Shane, you just said the lyrics almost. I think the song is Magic Penny.
Mm-hmm.
My voice is not good this morning. I don't even know if I can get anything out. Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. And it's something about life is like a magic penny. Save it, hold it, you won't have any. Oh, geez, I don't know if I know the rest of the verse. Spend it, lend it, you'll have so many. Thrown all over the floor, something like that. But love is something if you give it away. I should write down what you said. I love what you said. That about the gift. That life is about discovering your gift and then giving it away. Right. Oh, gosh, Shane, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, that stuck with me. Ever since I heard it, I was like, well, it's so simple, but so extremely profound. Thank you so much, Carol.
Thank you,
It's been so much fun to have you here today and get to catch up with you and talk all things music and life in general. So.
And the ripple goes on,
yes,
Shane.
Absolutely. It will continue. So thank you so much for all you do.
Congratulations on this beautiful, beautiful Castro Valley School of Music. You're doing amazing work, Shane.
Thank you. And it really does go back to my experience with you at Music for Minors too. Seriously, without you, I don't know that this would exist. So thank you so much for all your encouragement and everything.
Okay, Shane.
All right. Well, into there. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Cool.